Well, we're wrapping up the series, Build a Great Company. And I'm wrapping it up with this question. Do you have regular reality checks? You'll never build a great company if you don't, okay? So you've got to do this. So tune in, hang in there with me on this. The reason we're asking that is, where are you in relation to your map direction? That's what we want to know. And this is how you do it. President John Adams said during his successful defense of the British soldiers who fired on the crowd during the Boston Massacre, this: facts are stubborn things. And whatever may be our wishes or our inclinations or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. Oh, isn't that true? I mean, we wish the investment had not gone as poorly as it did. We're inclined to believe, it's like, really? We just wish it were different. Well, I'm here to tell you, I agree with John Adams. Facts are stubborn things. So to build a great company, or for that matter, a great self, you've got to embrace these stubborn things called facts. So here's a couple of things. First, you've got to start to be able to ask what I would call a really hard question. How am I doing? As the owner, entrepreneur, how am I doing? How are we doing as a company? Okay? But that's not the hardest part. The harder part is listening to the answers without getting defensive. Oh, and I get it. I do get it. We pour ourselves into it. We have left everything on the table. This was the best we have ever done. And no one's coming back with accolades. They're coming back with, it kind of fell short. It didn't really meet expectations, And we start trying to explain. We start trying to defend, justify, whatever, right? So a great way to avoid getting caught in that trap is simply to ask more questions. Open-ended questions like, well, tell me about that. And you've got to push down the defensiveness. You've got to push down the urge to explain it, to justify, and just kind of roll with it and just keep asking questions and pull out the information. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of this, good and bad. And the first isn't so great. So this was years ago. An entrepreneur owner brought in a general manager. Unbeknownst to anybody in the company, this was a complete surprise. This was a good friend of his. And, day one, walked in, here's this guy. I actually knew him. And I was like, I knew this company really well. And I'm like, I don't think this is a good match. I wish he had said something, because I know stuff about this guy's track record that is dismal. Well, it didn't take long to see he was not doing well, and the owner would hear nothing about it. This was essentially the equivalent of bringing a wrecking ball inside your company, and people were quitting. In droves. He was shutting stuff down. He was changing procedures with no explanation. It was just a wrecking ball. And finally, the owner was confronted by the remaining key team members, and they said, look, it's either him or us. And there were still enough key team members that he really liked that he had to work out something with his best friend and send him packing. That's an example of what not to do. Let me give you an example of what to do. And this is a leader who of a large size company. And I've had this, by the way, experience with a number of leaders of good sized companies, growing companies, and they're great leaders and they're building great companies. And the thing is, they would ask me like, okay, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? I'm working with their leaders out there. I'm working outside in the company, and they're pulling me in, and they're not looking to get scuttlebutt on people. That's not what they're about. It's the other way around. They're looking to hear the scuttlebutt on them. What are people thinking? How is this playing out? How is this working? So that they can make adjustments and changes in the way they're doing things, in the way they're leading the company. Often with those clients and others, what I've done are autopsies on, say, a project in particular, but you could do it on a process, you could do it on a period of time. How did we do? And I use the word autopsy because it's clinical, and we're going to dissect it and bisect it and cut it open and look at it, and but very clinical. So there's no accusation, there's no judgment. It's just, what happened? How did this end up? How did it turn out? And I didn't want to make so one place to go see how you respond to facts are your numbers. But I want you to know that these other things I'm talking about are just as valid as numbers and just as important, but numbers are the most stubborn facts. And they could be your analytics, they could be metrics that you're using, and of course they're going to be the financials. And so many entrepreneurs say, well, I'm just not into the numbers, I'm into the passion, I'm into doing it. Well, let me tell you something. If you're going to build a great company, you're going to have to start leading with your numbers, and you're going to have to embrace them. Look, I get it. We don't want to look at the tax return because that may be the annual number we look at. We know we didn't do so well this year. We just don't want to know how badly we did. So let me give a number example that's nothing to do with the company. Think of weighing yourself. Okay. We just don't want to know. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? I'm not going to weigh myself. I already know I ate too much. And I went into the weekend overweight, and, weigh yourself. Facts are stubborn things. And you look down at the scale and you're going like, oh, I'm 10 pounds way over what I thought I would be at the worst possible moment. Okay. Here's what you do with any facts. Okay. Not just numbers, but any of them. The reason we want to face these stubborn things is because they can, first of all, be a great incentive to change. 10 pounds over what I thought was the heaviest I've ever been. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do something about it right now. It's huge incentive. I just heard this report from this department. I just saw this number, whatever, and it's ugly. We're going to do something. We're not going to keep doing the same old and hope it keeps working. Great incentive to change. They can guide us. The facts can guide us on what to work on and how. So, let me get a little bit more detailed with looking at the scale. And so I see my weight. Let's say, you also get a tape measure and you measure your girth and you're like, oh, that's horrible. It's way bigger than I thought. But we step on the scale and that number's okay. Wow. So it's inches, not pounds I need to work on. That's a huge different approach than just weight. And so how we work on things is going to be really important. And the third thing is they can measure our improvement. So these facts, yeah, they're stubborn. That's good. And so we meet with the key team and they're telling us, look, you made improvements. We step on the scale and we're 5 pounds less than where we were. The tape measure, we've dropped an inch, it's like, it's like, yes, okay, making progress. Let's go. And so you go now you're wanting to step on the scale. Now you're wanting to take the tape measure because I think it's down a little bit. Well, it went up a little bit. Okay, no worries, but I'm still down and we're going to keep doing it. And we track that stuff. We meet with more leaders and they're telling us, yeah, that shift you made because of the autopsy, man, we're doing way better on this next project. There's huge incentive. So keep that in mind. You've got to face these stubborn facts, these stubborn things called facts. And they're going to be incentive to change. They're going to guide you on what to work on and how, and they're going to help you measure your improvement. So go back and watch this series again. There's a lot of great stuff in it, and it's all for you so that you can begin to live truly free. Stay tuned. We're going to have a video next week. We're going to start putting them out every week now, and look forward to seeing you in those. So please subscribe so you don't miss any. Leave comments on this post and others, and talk to you soon.